Hello and welcome to the Pocket Gamer Podcast. It's episode number 330. I'm your host, James Gilmore. Joining me today is Peter Wellington.
Hi.
And Harry Slater.
Hello everyone, it's me, Harry Slater.
We are back from Helsinki. We were at the conference. As a result, we have seen lots of games, clever noodly indie games, and lots of some slight quite big budget games, and just all kinds. They're all on touchscreens. We got our fingers all over them, and we've got a bunch of videos that are going up on AppSpy's YouTube channel over the next few days, and they're pretty much exclusive. All of them. We've seen the future, and the future, it's all touchy. Ooh, I got the feel. I got right in there. We also did some interviews, some lovely biz people. Met guys from Sam Barlow. Met the guy who made Her Story. Had a big chat with him. Had a bit of fun with him. Did a silly video.
Fell out with him
very quickly. You know, it was a good relationship for a while, and then on the
I asked a silly question. It's fine.
63rd minute, he stormed off, and so we'll post stuff about that up. Don't worry, it's not that bad. The next installment of that franchise of his, if it's called Peter's Story, and it's all about kicking balls out of a guy named Peter. I'm just saying, it might happen. But we're back now, and as we were flying back / landing, things happened. Big things involving iPhone 6Ss, and even bigger things involving iPads the size and breadth of a small continent. We're going to chat about this and more over the course of this episode, but first, how about we have an update? Badlands been updated with a level editor, which seems quite a nice idea if you like flouncing about. Because to me, the best thing about Badland is not the controls and that; it's actually the look of the game, the way the environments are laid out, the funny little contraptions that allows things spit out and buzzsaws come away and platforms seesaw. And now you can control them directly if you want to. Make your lovely own ones, so you can place, scale, and rotate objects throughout all of the levels, make mazes, traps, create some vehicles if you fancy doing it, and then, once all that's sorted, you can publish it and share it with other people. This is all coming off the back of, or at the same time as Mario Maker going live as well, so there seems to be a general push for user-created content. There's a rating system that's there as well, so as people play your level, if they think it's wicked, it will get rated up and more people will see it. If they think it is balls, it probably won't. So make sure it's a good one.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. Who the hell is still playing Badland?
People on the PS4.
Frogmind.
Oh.
Frogmind is still playing it, yeah. But no, I think it was slightly successful on the PSN as well. It came to the bloody consoles and everything, and it's still going. It was big, and I know we didn't like it quite so much. We specifically being Harry, but people loved it. So who are we? Right, that's who we are. We're right. The game is still £2.99 or $3.99 on the App Store, and the update is well free. So if you want it, you can grab it. Also well free, Infinity Blade 3. Gone free.
Yay!
For the very first time ever. Usually £5 that one, £4.99 or $6.99, but now you can pick it up for absolutely nout. However, this isn't the game going totally free to play. This is a short time thing only. So if you are keen to give it a bit of a wiggle, then do so now. It's all right.
It's alright. It's not as good as Infinity Blade, and it's not as good as Infinity Blade 2, but it's better than all the other games that copied Infinity Blade.
As we hinted at before the stream started, while you and I were on trains and coaches and buses heading home from the glory that was Helsinki, Apple were tucked up in a conference hall, giving it all of that. And by that, I mean, I'm doing that hand thing where you make a duck beak with your hand. About their new Apple-y devices. It all happened yesterday, kids. So, what are we talking about? We're talking new iPhones. We're talking new iPads. We're talking TV things. Literally everything happened, and almost some of it is quite interesting. Actually, let's start, before we go into any of the iOS devices that you can put in your pocket, let's go straight to the Apple TV. Because this was the one that was, I think, potentially going to be the most interesting story, really. And I'm not sure it was in the end. So what happened is, as Tim Cook, he said himself, the future of TV is apps.
The future of the TV is apps.
Yes.
I don't think that sentence even makes grammatical sense.
Well, it's up there. It was up there on a big screen, standing behind Tim Cook. So Apple would never say anything nonsense. Like the future just got better.
I'm gonna say something about Tim Cook. I think he looks a bit like Paul O'Grady.
He does look a lot like him, which means by default that he also looks a lot like Paul O'Grady's alter ego, Lily Savage.
Savage.
He will also, if he puts on a wig, does a bit of lippy up and sort of gets the heels on, he will also look like Lily Savage as well.
I think that would make me watch Apple conferences.
Yeah, that would be the best of conferences, because she's quite biting as Lily. She's quite good.
She's quite foxy as well.
Hold on. So is Paul O'Grady the real one then?
We're going to have a Superman Clark Kent conversation, aren't we? I'm going to confuse the bejesus out of you. Now you've coughed out vital bits of information from your brain. Now that's all gone. Anyway, apps. All right, so Apple TV happened. The things that we were talking about, in fact, we were talking about it on the plane home, that Apple TV was probably going to be announced, the new one, and it was probably going to support games. That was what was going to happen. Suddenly they're going to put all the games on Apple TV. And we were like, now that could be really interesting. It could be really interesting if tomorrow they announce that there's a new iOS update, and not only will the new Apple TVs support games, so you can play the Apple games on your TV, but also all of the old Apple TVs, provided they're relatively recent-ish, will also support it as well. And so suddenly, with the flick of a switch, loads of people, potentially millions of people around the world, would suddenly have a new games console already sitting next to their TV. Now that...
Would it be a PS4?
No, but next to that, next to PS4 and
an Xbox One.
No, but next.
Is it
going to
be
well,
a shitty Wii?
Well, the new ones are. The old ones aren't going to be anything. So instead of that, instead of activating it in a way that allowed all previously existing Apple TVs to play them, just the new one can.
Right.
So instead of converting every previous owner of it into a potential gamer, it's just the new ones, really.
Right.
So, but that's for reasons, because you need stuff with it. So, having declared the future of TV as apps several years after smart TVs came out full of apps already.
Nobody really uses apart from Netflix.
And maybe the iPlayer. They've bust out the box. Looks pretty much the same. Little bit bigger, but pretty much identical. It comes with a new sexy remote control, which has a touchscreeny surface bit on the top of it. Volume control jazz, the ability to... that sounds like a feature, but genuinely they're like, it's got a volume control on it via IR. Not Bluetooth, you have to point it.
Got a volume control.
Yeah.
Is that honestly a feature?
Yes. It can control the volume on your television, lads. I know! It's got the microphone button on it, meaning you can work Siri. So you can shout at your TV and be like, "Oi, I don't want to watch that. Turn on episode 5, season 2 of Bergerac.
Siri,
you dizzy mare."
Pornography.
It's like
Siri, play those videos of Peter riding the train in Bristol on a loop forever.
Yeah, the tiny train.
Siri, I'm drunk and I've fallen over. Please call for help. And also, film starring Jason Bateman.
Siri, I've got some pizza. Would you like some? Smear.
What it also has inside it is it has accelerometers, just like the iPhones and the iPads themselves, effectively turning it into a remote, which if you were to hold it and twist it, you might say Wii. So I don't know what you would call a remote that makes you go Wii. Because no one's done anything like that before. So I guess
a remote that makes you do a Wii? I'd say that was some form of torture.
Well, it's the future of torture, Harry.
I don't like it. I'm not into it.
The future of TV is torture. So basically, they've made a Wii remote.
Yep.
And put it into a remote.
Yep.
It's a new Apple TV, so you're going to have to buy a new Apple TV.
Yep.
If you want all this. And there's dedicated games for it, but we haven't really seen that much.
And
about
also,
them.
the file size for the games is 200 meg.
200 meg per game?
Yeah, you can. The maximum file size of the game you can have on Apple TV is 200 meg.
What?
So what they've done is basically said, oh, we've created a TV you can play games on, but you can only play kind of khaki. I'm going to check my iPad now. Hang on.
That's amazing. Because the thing is, we thought initially that it would be fantastic. It'll be working off a variant of iOS 8 or iOS 9, the new iOS 9, which it is. It's running off a version of iOS 9. And so it will be able to access the normal App Store, and the games will be able to be played either using your iPhone as a controller or using the remote as a controller, because obviously they would sync together. The actual reality of that is, man, if you're a developer, you have to make games for it specifically. So you have to turn your game into a Apple TV game. And like Harry says, only 200 megs max.
So of all the games installed on my iPad, you could play 2 of them.
So it's...
hang on. There's an element, there's a caveat to this. It might be that the initial download of data can only be 200 meg, and then you can download more afterwards. A bit like what you do in Japan or Korea.
Maybe that, but I'll Google it.
All right, we're getting specific. So they did show us a few games. So you had Asphalt 8. They did a little demo on that. Looked like Asphalt 8. You controlled it by tilting the controller around like a Wiimote. Fine. There's a new Guitar Hero. Because the new Guitar Hero, they're being released, Guitar Hero Live, is going to have a mobile component. They were talking about that for ages, so that will be compatible in some way. I don't think you'll be able to hook up a guitar to it, but you'll be able to press a button on your remote in time with things. That'll do. And Crossy Road. As you can probably tell, slightly lackluster reaction to all of that. I thought they could really just go, boom, update all the old Apple TVs. That thing you thought was just a thing for watching iTunes. Now you can play the games, all the games from the App Store, fill your boots. Isn't it amazing? And then suddenly everyone would have a brand new console under their TV, and that would be massive.
And now it's like, go buy a dedicated thing for an experience that's going to be not as good as the one that's in your pocket. And
do you want to play Crossy Road multiplayer? Why?
Yeah. Now it's, do you want another Ouya?
Yeah.
And we're like, guys, we didn't want the first Ouya.
Mm-hmm. No one did.
I did, because it made for some nicely punning strap lines, like, oh, you cheeky monkey.
Yeah,
that was good. But this doesn't even have this. This doesn't even have this, and therefore is worse than the Ouya.
Yeah. So from here on out, what's going to happen is App Store developers, they will be able to make games universal for all 3 platforms. So they'll be able to do like universal release. If you buy it by Transistor on your iPad or something, you also get it for your iPhone, obviously, and you'll be able to get it for the Apple TV, provided it's all harmonized up and synced up and all that kind of stuff. So they'll need to make sure it works on it, but they will be able to do it in the future. At present, you're not going to be able to get a billion of them. And it's going to be $149 when it comes out in October, which is going to probably be at least £99, but probably more likely I'm going to say it's £129. I'm going to say that's going to be the launch price, because we get so beaten down on that.
You could get an Amazon Fire TV for 40 quid. It'll do exactly the same thing, but better.
Yeah, all right. So that's Apple TV, yeah!
You could just not bother.
No, it's like all of this is... Obviously, Apple's going to be in this for the long haul, and this is clearly just for the time being the options that they have right now, like the games that are on here, and it just seems a little bit like they're launching without all of the features fully formed and all of the ideas as to how they're going to move forward with this and how they're going to make it a great platform for games, because at the moment it just seems like another platform for games rather than a great platform for games.
The thing is, like, Apple have only just started caring about games, really, haven't they? Like, they didn't care about games on the App Store for the longest time until they started making colossal amounts of money.
Yeah.
I mean, they never saw the iPhone as a games platform. It just happened that it became one. And, I don't know, maybe they're just going for the same thing here. Maybe they're just like, let's see what happens. Who cares? We're Apple. You'll all buy our stupidly expensive computers anyway.
Yep. So if you're psyched about that, it comes out in October for some money. Now, let's get into the slightly more interesting thing. I suppose I will go with the actual phones themselves. So, as expected, the iPhone 6S was announced, and the iPhone 6S Plus, which is awkward. They are coming out. As before, they are now the most advanced smartphones in the world! It's like last time when they say with Persil that this one gets your whites really white, not like that previous brand which got them grey. And you're like, hang on a minute, I saw that advert a year ago. A year ago, you said that product made it white. there's chicanery afoot. It's got an A9 chip, so it's more powerful than the A8 that preceded it. It's got a 12 megapixel camera. That's a lot more megapixels than before, which let you have live photos as well, which is basically, and I love this thing. So live photos, right? How it works is you take a photo. But what it does is when you're taking that photo, it records the couple of seconds before and couple of seconds after the photo is taken. So it basically creates like a little GIF.
Right. So it takes a video. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So that's it.
So hold on. So have they renamed video live photos?
They've called a short amount of video live photos.
Right.
So, and everyone was very excited because it's like those things in Harry Potter where the pictures move a little bit.
This is some next level Apple shenanigans, isn't it?
Yep. So that's the kind of techie specs of it. It's going to wind up costing the same as the last model of the iPhone stuff. So look at the ratings. You're talking about like from sort of $600 upwards, basically, for the different models, from 16 to 64 gig and all of that. That's the tech stuff. More second generation Touch ID, which I love. Now it can recognize your fingerprint even better. What? But whatever. Your 4K video. So it's well HD. It's more HD than your HD TV.
That's cool.
It's more HD than your eyes.
Now, the actual like new gimmicky bits that people focused on. So it's got what is called 3D touch. Now, I know you're
Isn't
thinking,
that just what we do?
Yeah.
Like, when I pick up this delightful macchiato caramel iced coffee thing, send me them. That's 3D touch because I have to put my big fat fingers around it.
Is that a bit?
So is this like holding?
No. So what it actually means is that if you were to say, touch a link on your phone, so you're reading a thing, you're looking at Twitter. You've seen that article about the 29 funniest cats come up. You won't believe what number 7 cat does. Oh, and you're like, oh, I might have a quick sneaky peek. If you press that link lightly, if you just caress it gently with the tip of your finger, a little preview of that site page will pop up. And then if you were to go, actually, you know what? I kind of prefer dogs. Change your mind, release your finger. It just pops down away again. So it acts like a little preview thing. If, however, you see it and you see number 7 cat and you're like, oh, I am all over this, you just push a little bit harder and boom, you go through to that article. This new feature, before you respond, it's called Peek and Pop. Press lightly to peek.
Yep.
Press hard to pop.
How I don't want that. I don't want that at all.
Do you know what?
That's just going to annoy me. Like, I mean, what if you what if you start pushing hard? But I mean, how hard is hard? Like, is my hard going to be too hard, or is my soft going to be too hard, and I'll never be able to peek? I'm not a subtle man with my fingers.
You're purely binary. It's basically on or off for you, isn't it?
Mom, give me some chips.
I don't understand this. Like, the developers barely got to use this gradated touch when it came to the PlayStation 3 and its varying degrees of button pressing. Like, in fact, the PS2 had it, and developers have barely used this ability to gently touch in the square button or hammer it hard. Like, very, very few games or pieces of technology or whatever have ever used this stuff. And then to suggest that it's going to be used on a completely hard, unmoving surface like a piece of Gorilla Glass, I don't know what application that has.
Well, I'm not entirely anti the idea, to float the other side of this. Let's not be entirely negative. I would like to try it and see how it works. And there's also another element to it, which is that you are going to get some kind of feedback response from the screen itself. So there'll be a haptic motor placed inside the unit, which will allow you to tell you what you just did. So depending on how hard you press, it will give a little kind of like a little buzz, or a harder buzz perhaps, so you can judge how hard you should push it. And the idea is they believe that over time, obviously, you'll just get entirely used to these two types of pressure you should apply, and the phone will tell you what you're doing and whether you're doing it wrong.
Absolutely hammer the battery.
Well, yes, if you've got the haptics on it, it probably will. It's interesting because every time we go to one of these conferences, we encounter a guy who deals exclusively in the haptic stuff. This company is actually responsible for the motors that live inside the DualShocks for Sony. And he's been doing it on Android devices and things like that for quite a while, introducing force feedback. So it was eventually going to go in and be introduced properly into the mainstream function of the phone. And here it is. There you go. Your phone's going to not just buzz to tell you there's a call coming, but you're going to press the screen, it's going to go, ooh, I like that. And then you're going to press it hard and it's going to go, ooh, and vibrate and tremble for you. The thing, it should also apply to gaming. So if you are, for example, playing a first-person shooter, you're looking around, and then you want to zoom in, just push a bit harder, and vroom, you'll go into iron sights.
Yeah, but what if in the middle of a firefight, when I'm stressed out and there's orcs or whatnot leaping at me, and I'm like, oh, shoot that one, but then instead I just zoom in on its big ugly face as it hacks me to death with an axe.
Yeah. Also, this isn't going to be used in video games whatsoever because this is for the 6S. And developers are not going to go, we're going to create an entire control system that is dedicated to just one piece of hardware that supports this.
Presumably, there'll be a lot of pre-prepared code they can just cut and paste and bung in to control that sort of thing. Same thing with DualShock.
But that's not going to be great design, is it? Like having different versions of each app that say, now you'll be... So at this point, to zoom in, do this. Oh, but actually, unless you're downloading it for iPhone 5, in which case, don't show that version. Show this separate thing that does that instead.
They already do that with multiple control systems anyway. They have entirely different control systems that many people never use. It's like you can do motion controls if you want.
No, I'm not talking about that.
They do have these control systems that hardly anyone ever uses, and this is going to be one of them.
Yes, so it'll just add it to that thing until everybody starts getting these phones and it's standard, and then people will start using it more and more. And the same thing with the metal. There's a whole bunch of graphic stuff that happens on the new high-end phones that totally doesn't happen on the low-end ones. So it's like, what's the point of putting it all in there? Because some people are using it.
Why can't everything just be the same?
That's what consoles are for, Harry.
Why can't we just have Pong?
No, but it's just... Well, actually, that's a good question.
That's quite good.
It's not about that. It's about this is going to put even further stress onto developers to actually use these things or not use these things. And if they don't use them, then what's the flipping point? It'll just be like an interactive thing that very few people are going to want to use or in any meaningful way. And it sounds like they've been...
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe...
purely cosmetic.
It's not cosmetic, you can't see it. I think maybe he's... I think maybe Peter's being a little too cynical about this one because he hasn't had enough sleep.
I think you're being a negative Nancy.
Yes, you are, you big Nancy.
I think this is...
But, I mean, you're looking at it from the now, mate. But let's look into future. Let's look through the mists of future time. Yeah. And, I mean...
Hold on, I need to tap gently on the screen to see...
preview the future.
I'm going to tap gently on your screen in a minute. Wait, that's less threatening than the other one, I guess, isn't it? But no, I think Apple products do tend to be thrown away to the sidelines when new ones come out. So, like in 2 generations' time, when everyone's got their iPhone 7S Plus Alpha, and the 5 and the 5S are dead and for losers. Then it might be quite interesting. It's something for the future, Peter. You just don't care. You used to care about things.
Future-proofing.
And I'm apparently starting to care about things, which is weird.
It is weird. I'd like you to stop it right now because it's weirding me out. So,
yes, sir.
There's your iPhone 6S. Look forward to 3D touch inputs and the phone going, whoo, getting a little bit excited. Now, let's move on to the thing that I thought was kind of cool, actually, in a weird sort of way. So, iPad Pro.
Yes.
iPad Pro, it's an iPad, and it's absolutely huge.
I want one of these, James.
Good grief. I'd quite like one of these as well.
I would quite like one of these too, so we're all in agreement. I'm not going to be able to afford one of these because it's going to cost a goddamned fortune. So, let's talk statics. It is 12.9-inch display diagonally across, which means that basically, the long bit of your iPad, the tall bit when you hold it in portrait mode, that's now the short bit. So on your new iPad. So just turn it sideways, turn it to landscape mode, that's the bottom, and then make it zoom up so it's absolutely bloody massive because the screen is now, the resolution is 2732 by 2048, and it used to be that your normal iPad you have now, provided you've got a 3 or upwards, is 2048 by 1536. So that's how that works out.
big.
Again, same thing. Big bit is now the small bit. Bam. It is got the A9X chip, 64-bit chip, which is 1.8 times faster than the iPad Air 2, and it better be, because it's going to push around all those pixels. Whenever you up the screen pixels, like the number of pixels on screen like that, the processor has to work harder to make the games look prettier, which is why the iPad 3 constantly used to melt people's hands off. Because they didn't change the chip much, but they did change the screen, and it started juddering and chunking around like a nightmare. So presumably, they've taken that into account this time. It has, inverted commas, double the graphics performance of the previous tablets, and apparently keeps the same 10-hour battery life as the rest of them. 4-speaker audio system, Peter. We were talking about 5.1 setups on the plane. 4 speakers, boys.
That's all of the speakers.
On every corner. And that's nice. It's still almost as thin as the iPad Air, so 6.9 millimeters thin. It's a little bit heavier, obviously, because it's a bit bloody massive. How do we feel about, first of all, the form factor? Big thing, right? Now,
yes.
Let's go with Harry. Harry,
Yeah.
you are a not small person.
No, it's true. I'm a god amongst men.
You are. So when we stand next to each other, I have an iPhone 6, Harry has an iPhone 6S. Relatively, we look like we're holding the same device.
6 plus, but yeah.
So this, for you, presumably, is like, well, about time, obviously, have you seen me? This is perfect.
Yeah, I mean...
Or not.
I like the idea of it. I like using my iPad for work sometimes because it's more difficult for the cat to sit on than a laptop. And having a larger one with more functionality and, you know, all that sort of stuff, that's cool. But I think it's taking the iPad away from what it has been up until now, which is a device for media consumption. I think this is Apple going for the Galaxy Note market, that sort of more professional gentleman about town in his suit.
It excites me because of the other thing. So there's the peripheral they're being added. They're going to add a stylus, and there were lots of jokes made yesterday about how in 2007, like, you know, Steve Jobs stood up and went, "Who wants to use a stylus?" Right? Stylus is for nerds. Now they've gone. So we've invented the stylus, and it's going to cost $100. Here you go. And everyone made a lot of fun of it. But as someone who likes doing art and drawing, this is quite exciting for me. Because I love the idea of a really, really good digital stylus that I can use and a screen that is kind of closer to, you know, bigger than A4 really size. I love the idea of getting one of these things and just spending all day drawing on it. And that's what they're talking about when they say the pro angle of it. You're right. It's not necessarily that you give to your, like, 5-year-old kid to mess about with in the Angry Birds. It's for people who perhaps want to do some kind of work on it.
Well, so my girlfriend is a video game artist, #Gamergate, and there are a whole brand of tablets that are specifically designed for artists, graphic artists, where you do get this massive, bloody great big stylus, very precise stylus, where you can directly draw onto the screen and use Photoshop in this manner.
Yeah.
Currently, they are about, because she's been looking into these, they're about $2 or $3 to get a really decent sized one that automatically hooks up to everything that you do, because you need to, they're kind of like a dumb screen, but also a bit of an active screen. You have to hook them up by this bloody great big thick cable to your computer. So that is, because you're using the computer's processing power mostly to, you know, because you aren't downloading the actual Photoshop onto your device or anything like that. So there's always been this really huge barrier to entry buying one. That changes that game completely. This is Apple coming in and completely disrupting that market of graphics device, you know, graphics tablet users, and that's so Apple. Like, that is exactly what Apple's audience is. It's this musicy, artistic, creative, sort of swish businessman kind of a thing. Like, there's also the peripheral that's got me all excited is the fact that there's a smart keyboard for $170. Like,
there is,
which is basically the Windows Surface sort of cover. And I was considering getting a Windows Surface because I like that keyboard, I like that screen tablet, I like that form factor. And now that there's this massive bloody great big iPad with all of this functionality, I'm thinking, Just get the I'm already tied into the iOS environment. I'm going to get this iPad.
Well, I was seeing, again, a lot of snark on Twitter, as there always is around these conferences, and some of it's fun and some of it's annoying. But there were a lot of people going, well, obviously what they've just done is they've invented the Surface. Well done, 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah.
And then there's the touch keyboard there, and people made fun of it at the time.
The Surface had a very good screen for drawing on. It was like the stylus in the Surface Pro was very good, and I know some artists who had used it because it was basically a Cintiq, which is sort of the graphics tablet that everyone uses.
Yeah. And so people made a lot of fun and saying that, people dissed the Surface when it came out, but now Apple's doing it. Suddenly it's amazing. But I saw this pointed out on Twitter in response as well. I can't remember who said it, but they're absolutely right. I absolutely wanted that thing on the Surface. I absolutely wanted that fold-out screen that comes with the case. The only thing that stopped me doing it was Windows 8 NT.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that stopped me doing it was because I don't want that operating system. I don't want that device with that OS. So I absolutely want it on iOS. Of course I would. Fantastic idea. Like, it's copying. It's doing something that's been done before. And there've always been little fold-out portable cases you can get. But of course I want it. And it slots in. And what you suddenly realise, once you see it all put up together, it's like, this is basically a MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
For £1,000 less than a MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's exactly it. I was considering getting an iPad mini and one of these stupid, third-party Bluetooth keyboards to basically do that, but without have the processing power of a Mac and the additional charge. And now Apple's just gone, you know what, lads, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll make something else for you. And this is it. This is the future. They're going to get out of laptops. This is where they're going now.
And people were doing it, and they were doing it early. The detachable, lots of Android tablets, work as it's a laptop, and then you rip off the screen, and it's a tablet. And the idea was absolutely right, but the implementation wasn't quite great. It was really heavy. It was a bit gacky. Android has its own issues, and so it never quite worked. But this is absolutely where it's going.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, it is going to do everything that you want a MacBook Pro to do.
It's not going to have the same grunt. Now, because obviously we're talking about the processors that we've got here. It's not as powerful technically as a MacBook Pro. As MacBook Pro processors much more powerful in that regard. But it's going to be able to do a lot of the same things you can do with it. Only the serious high-end users, like if you want to run like real programs, if you want to run the full kind of a Premiere or something like that, the video editing or After Effects, obviously it's not going to run those things. However, in a turn-up for the books, in a colossal live burying of the hatchet to some degree, who should walk up on stage during the Apple conference but a representative from Microsoft to talk about all of the Microsoft and Adobe apps that are going to be appearing on this device. So they're going to be making specific versions of things like the spreadsheet, the Microsoft Office suite, things like your Photoshops and whatnot that are going to work specifically on this device. They will obviously be pared down and designed for the tablets, but we can already do quite a lot with those apps, those photo manipulation apps on tablets, on something like this, and the tablets that follow it. It's going to be fantastic. So this is the thing that I came out most positive. I'm most annoyed because it's going to be out of my price range because I can't afford this, but I think this is absolutely a really good thing.
I'm getting one. There you go. Yeah. Straight up, like, I'm going to get one. So.
Fair enough. As Stuart's just pointing out, podcast so far, Badland, Infinity Blade, Apple. Well, yes, but this only happens once a year. This is effectively the Apple launch special that we do kind of every year.
Yeah.
Because come on, people, this only happens once every 12 months.
And games are rubbish anyway, so...
Out and about this week. Oh, the Force is with us once again because there's a Star Wars. A Star Wars has happened all over iPad. Star Wars Uprising. Ooh. Hey, Mr. Stormtrooper. Mirrors on the ends of my shoes. No, Star Wars Uprising is now out on iOS. Peter Wellington, you done previewed it. No,
I'm sorry, but I'm going. No, it was me.
Well, I thought it was me.
It looks like Harry, because he's got them grill bits at the side.
Oh, okay. It was probably Harry then.
But you both played it. So, what's this all about? What is it? You didn't play it, did you?
I did play it. I've been playing it all afternoon. Thank you very much, James Gilmore. But no, it's fine. If you want to get Peter to talk about it, who obviously hasn't played it, and could just make up some nonsense, then that's fine by me.
Cough it up, Slater.
It's basically a little tappy dungeon crawler set ostensibly in the Star Wars universe. There's like some spiky head Darth Maul people, and everyone has slightly funny, almost punny names. It's alright, it's fine, it's free to play, it's not particularly interesting. You get new skills and new equipment, but I couldn't figure out how to sell anything yet, which is annoying because it means my backpack will get filled up and then I'll have to buy more storage, and that's annoying. But yeah, it's got like gacha things and other stuff.
Online RPG then. So are you able to team up with other folks, or is it like that kind of this person's ghost is helping you in theory while no one else plays?
I haven't been helped by anyone yet, but I think that's more down to my acerbic personality than anything else. There's like a central hub, but the quests all seem to be single player. I haven't played loads of it because it's boring. But some people might like it because they like boring games.
Where does it sit time-wise
it's
in the Star Wars
after the destruction of the second Death Star. So
it's after Jedi, but before Episode 7.
Essentially, yeah, it's meant to be like a bridge between those two things. And if it's any indication, the film will be terrible.
No, I think the film will be all right.
I think the film will be all right as well. It's got a sort of, the style of it's closer to the Clone Wars stuff. That sort of.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, you're a smuggler to start off with, and I bet you join the Rebel Alliance in the end, even though they're not really rebels anymore because they took over. So maybe that it'll tell the story of how the rebels became a new empire, and now the stormtroopers are the good guys. That's
quite possibly.
That's my hot
sounds
take.
like that's a Lost style twist. That is. That makes probably slightly more sense than Lost. So, like the article says, you get it's exploring planets, gears, crews, and updates and stuff will be added over time. So it's constantly going to expand, and there are these multiplayer battles everyone takes part in, and when you do that, that actually changes apparently the direction of the game. So depending on how many people play a battle and what direction it goes, it'll branch off into a new type of update, a new type of narrative in future. So that might be exciting. You are building your own character from scratch, RPG style.
One thing that confused me is they kept calling the Imperials imps, and I was like, what?
Really?
Like little creatures.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, you're shortening it, because Imperials is really difficult to say, and that's not what we've been calling them for 30 years.
Impossible. So, it's out for free right now, both on iOS and Google Play. Star Wars Uprising. So Radiant Games is back. Radiant Games is back with a game that looks very much like a Radiant Games game.
Radiant Games, Radians.
Yes,
Radiators.
So it's called Devastator. And it is what looks like, as usual, steel yourself, lads, this is going to blow you away. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter. Oh! Now, I say that like a little joke because that's what this guy always makes. But he always makes them very well. So it's a slight reason for excitement for me. So what you've got is you are taking control of your little craft. You are flying around, this time very square-looking environments. Previously, it's been a little bit curvy. Everything's been ovals and circles and that. This time it's blocks coming at you from miles. It's all gone a bit cubic and mental. So imagine your Geo Wars or something like that. It's all dark, it's neon, it's totally a Radiant Games vector art game.
Yeah.
And I haven't played it yet, but I bet you it feels really nice.
Yeah, apparently it's the hardest game in the world.
Which is quite a claim.
I don't think it's true, because everyone knows the hardest game in the world is the game of life. The board game with the... I can't remember how it works, but it was real tough.
Oh man, that board game is amazing.
Yeah.
I never played it. Some of those big board games they really put me off, because everyone was playing Monopoly, and Monopoly's a horrible game, and that put me off lots of major mainstream board games. Because this is what people are doing? This is horrible. There are lots of other board games I would like much more. But it's out right now. It's £1.49 or $1.99. You get loads of different waves, 50 in fact, to fight through, 12 different enemy types to obliterate, and it's MFI controller support if you're into that sort of thing, Game Center, all the standard stuff. I bet you it'll control quite well. If you're a fan of the developer, then go and check out the video that's available on the PG front page at the moment. It's called Devastator. One last time, out right now. Only on iOS, I think. I was going to bring this up because I think this was out before, but we didn't mention it. At least I didn't mention it. Maybe you did. Trickshot. When did Trickshot come out?
Last week before.
Yeah, last week. I'm actually going to probably talk about. No, I'm not going to talk about it. Actually, no. Let's talk about it now.
Talk about it because I wasn't. I don't know if you covered it beforehand in one of the podcasts or whatever. Because I certainly didn't.
I can't remember. Yeah, Trickshot is a game in which you have a ball and in a starting area, and you have a square around the starting area, or a rectangle sometimes, and then you tap on the ball and you drag in the direction opposite to the way that you actually want the ball to be flung, and therefore gauge the direction and also the distance that it will travel. And the idea is to get the ball into the open box. So the first couple of ones are really easy. You've got the ball just to the left of the screen and the box just to the right, so you know that you've just got to create a nice arcing curve for the ball to end up in the box. If the ball goes straight in and doesn't touch the sides, then you get a perfect. And if not, then you just get an okay, and you can move on to the next level.
So it's sort of Angry Birds, the pull back and release system, crossed with like a golf game, kind of, a trick shot golf game.
That kind of a thing. And then the stages get harder and harder and harder to the point that, you know, you've got to throw the ball at a button, which then flips the box upside down, and then you've got to bounce off of that and go into a portal, and then out of this other portal the ball will fly out and hit another button. And it's very sophisticated in the way that it does that. And then once you've completed it, it gives you a sort of a hardcore mode, a new game plus, which is even more tricky and makes you really think about the additional ways that you could complete that stage. Yeah, it's very good. I completed it on the flight back from Helsinki.
I was watching you play with it.
I didn't see that.
It's quite minimal, quite sparse in its design, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not super flashy or anything, but no. I did see you, and we've given it a bronze award. Rob was like, it's by one of the guys who did Monument Valley. It's a Monument Valley artist did it, so you understand where the minimalism comes from. It doesn't really look anything like Monument Valley instead. No. Rob gave it a bronze award, saying that it's challenging, but the difficulty curve is very uneven, and that some of the ball physics make it like lots and lots of restarts with lots and lots and lots and lots of trial and error, which either might be fun to you if you're OCD or might be really, really annoying. But if you are into that hook, it's really, really addictive. And to be fair, I sat beside you watching you play it for hours. Yeah. So there's clearly something to it.
Yeah. I really liked it.
Your flight was 4 hours. Did you go the long way around?
It's been a long weekend, guys, as you can imagine. How much is it, by the way, or do it be free?
It is about £2, something like that.
Pay that. Wicked. So Trickshot, it's called. If you're into your golfy, targety, flicky, birdie games, might be quite cool. So. I wanted to check this. Is the Duckforce Rises out now?
No.
It's just the preview we did.
Another couple of weeks.
Well, we'll steer people towards it anyway, because we did a hands-on with it a while back, and it's something that was finally revealed while we were at PGC, which is there's this new game called the Duckforce Rises from Disney, and it's kind of the battles from framed like the battles from a JRPG, but actually it's kind of just a card battler with your Donald Duck and your Scrooge McDuck and your other Disney characters in it.
Yep.
We played it on the stream once, and we've got a preview video up. Go and check out the story, because Disney were obviously making a big stink about it, and Disney has been certainly better on iOS than it has been on a lot of other platforms previously for about the past 10 years, because they did Where's My Water and things like that. It was actually very good. This one, not so sure about.
I quite like it. It's pretty good. It's actually from a publishing arm in Finland. It's actually, they make magazines and TV shows and stuff like that, and now they're getting into games. And I was talking to them, and they were saying that Donald Duck is massively popular in Finland. The Duckburg license is huge, so they wanted to make this kind of mid-core, Hearthstone-inspired, JRPG-esque series of battles. And I think it's all right. I think there's a bit more tactical depth than normal. You do flick out cards, and you do have to think about the way that you're gonna get through each stage. It is a bit more long-term than just your average card battlers, where just the attacks pop off automatically. I think it's okay. It's just a bit slow so far.
I was surprised by the sort of decency of the presentation, actually, it does look really good. But when it comes down to it, it's very, very simple card battle stuff. So Duckforce Rises, you can see videos and hands-on. It is currently in soft launch, I think. And it'll be coming out in the next few weeks, so we will check back on it. Same thing slightly goes for Nibblers. Nibblers, I suppose this should have been the new announcements, but screw it, we've played it, so whatever. This is a new game from Rovio.
Yes, it is. Rovio Entertainment's new, brand new, incredible Match 3 puzzler.
Oh, and not so long after they already did an Angry Bird style Match 3 puzzler, didn't they?
Well,
yeah. So it's another one of those, you're matching fruit, there are little bird nibbly things in it. I didn't actually play this one. You did, didn't you?
Yeah, it's all right. It's Match 3 again. The characters are really lovely and sweet. I think they actually look fantastic, and they sort of talk to one another, and they get all worried when you're about to match next to them and destroy the little lizards that are in the stages. You got to destroy lizards with fruit, by the way. Video games. Yeah, it's fine. It's Match 3 again, and it's pretty clear that Rovio really would like a free-to-play game to do really well. Please now, thank you very much.
So very, very much.
Did you see in Helsinki Airport? You probably didn't because you don't smoke, but right next to the smoking area, which was inside and had birdsong playing through speakers, there was an Angry Birds pop-up shop, and it was completely empty.
Oh, really? Weird. Oh, dear.
Just a sign on a glass door, and you could peer in and see nothing.
That's weird.
Peek to see the future.
I don't understand what's happening right now with Rovio and what's going on over there. It's like what they really need is a really big hit like Angry Birds again. They need this big genre-defining smash hit, and what they're doing is going, hey, let's do Match 3 puzzlers. And it's like, no, guys, like this isn't gonna. This can't continue to work. The world has moved on. You know, it's a shame because it's a good game. Because this is a good game. Nibblers is good. I've played it, but if you're sworn off of Match 3 puzzlers by this point, and you probably are, then you ain't gonna like it. So.
Okay, so is this actually out now? Or is this another soft launch preview?
I think it's actually come out. Yeah,
I think it's out now.
Just recently come out.
So Nibblers available now, free to play, obviously. Also out this week / last week. Andrew Adam from the App Army. So I believe he's in the chat room right now. In fact, in the Twitch. This gentleman is part of the App Army. The App Army is a group of people who have been commenting on the sites for a long time and watch the Twitch feeds and listen to podcasts and that. And what we do is we get them together in a week group, and every week we give them a bunch of games, usually pre-release games, and we get them to play them and see what they think, and then they can basically have a little conversation about it on the Facebook page and also on the actual site itself. So it's like being a commenter plus. And some of the perks of this include being invited along to the events that we do. And that's exactly what he did. So we've basically got his idea. He's currently a student at the moment. He came along to the event. He met most of us. He didn't meet me because apparently he took one look at me and ran away. I can only assume that's what happened, and not that I was away doing other things all the time.
You are hideous.
It's also true. But he did get to go and see a lot of things like the talks that we do. So we had people, as he wrote in an article, which you can see on the front of PG. It's called A Student's Eye View of PG Helsinki. And he got to see like speakers like John Hare, who's the guys behind Sensible Soccer and Cannon Fodder and all that. Sam Barlow, like we said before, the guy who made Her Story. Rami Ishmael, who's like Ridiculous Fishing if you're on mobile, and like Nuclear Throne and all that, and Luftrausers, and he's a good lad. So he was able to go and obnob with that lot, and obviously hang out with us as well, which was super fun. Apart from me, because obviously he hates me, and I'm
the worst.
Really quite offended.
You are the worst person.
You didn't see him, did you? You said I gotta hide from him.
Yeah,
I gotta hide from him.
You know, I don't want to see this man, because that's how James talks when he's abroad. He's like, I don't want to go see this man, so I gotta hide in my meat job.
I have no idea where this is going.
Point is, it's a real thing that real people actually go to, and we've got an actual real person from the community who was there. And so read his account of it. We all say all this stuff, but go and see a real humanized person view of one of these conferences. And it was great you could come along. And if you're part of the App Army, you could do likewise. So maybe consider signing up and getting involved with that.
Come sit upon my throne of games.
Right, so Throne of Games. I'm in a complete change in the usual broadcasting format. Going to talk first about this. So, I was playing a game called Shadowbug.
Yeah.
I was playing a game called Shadowbug as part of the Big Indie Pitch, which took place on the first day of the conference. And we played 40, how many? 42? 43 games?
40, I think.
41.
Yeah, it was more because people got added.
It was 42.
It was 42. And in the space of like 2, maybe 3 hours. So one after the other, playing games, all indie developers who are all looking to kind of win the competition by pitching their game in 3 minutes. That's all they get. They go from table to table, a bit like speed dating, and we give them a bit of a wiggle, give them a bit of a poke, and we see what we think. It's cracking fun. It's a great way to see a billion new games and basically what's going to be the future. Shadowbug was one of the games I actually liked quite a lot out of it. Initial impressions, it is a silhouette auto runner. Well, not auto runner, sorry. It's a silhouette game in the style of something like a Limbo or indeed a Badland. So platform game, you tap the left-hand side of the screen to move left, right-hand screen to move right, and you get up to a bit of the wall and you reach a dead end. You can't get through, and there's an enemy on the other side of that wall, and you're like, how can I get him? I can't get him from here. This is rubbish. So you look for an attack button, and it's not really there. And then you tap on the enemy, and the little bug launches through the wall, goes whapa whapa, swipes the enemy to death, and lands. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. And that's the way that you get around the environment. So instead of having a jump button, the jump button essentially is the attack. So in order to get yourself to a higher platform, there has to be an enemy there. If there is one there, you can tap the enemy, he'll race up through the environment, slap, 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 slice, 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 jump down onto the floor again. So this allows you to, when there are strings of enemies, kind of leapfrog between the enemies themselves, going swipe, swipe, provided they're visible on the screen, and attack, 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 attack. The rest of the time, you're just moving around. So you use it to solve, like, do clever kind of platforming, puzzle-solving bits. So you'll reach, obviously, an expanse which you cannot cross until, you know, you time it right, you get the camera in the right position so the enemy's on screen, then boom, you can jump across. And if platforms start moving or anything like that, that means you have to time it so you do it at the right moment. It was a nice further streamlining, I thought, of the touchscreen controls, because usually the problem with iOS controls is that you have to cram a whole bunch of different functions onto a touchscreen, and you end up with those big mess of virtual buttons, and it all becomes very confusing and really rubbish. But this, by turning jump also into an attack and having that be the only option, super streamlined. Just touch left to move left, right to move right, tap to attack, boom, job done. And it means you approach the game differently, because you can't just jump from place to place to place to place and then attack as you go. You have to make sure there's an enemy visibly there. So that changes the way the game is structured. It looks great. Like, the backgrounds are really lovely. The bug had a little bit of character. It's very polished. And it was one of the ones that I quite liked. I was quite impressed. So we'll have videos for it going up onto the site. Peter has been encoding them all day. So you'll be able to see it up and running before anybody else does. It's a few months out from release. But Shadowbug it is called, and I was quite impressed by it. Let's say Harry.
Let's say Peter.
All right.
So we did get to see lots of fantastic new games over at PGC. I want to talk about Double Dragon 2 from
because
the
you hate indies.
Yeah. So I downloaded a copy of Double Dragon Trilogy. I wonder why. We're playing it for Free Game Friday, and I wanted to give it a go and see what it was like, because I kind of berated the whole thing for a little bit, because I really hated the arcade versions of Double Dragon 1, 2 and 3. Actually, no, that's a lie. I quite like the original Double Dragon, or at least my memory remembers the original Double Dragon being quite good. And I played this mobile version, and let me tell you guys, Double Dragon 1 and Double Dragon 2 are actually still pretty good. I want to focus on Double Dragon 2. Double Dragon 3 is a piece of absolute rubbish.
I remember having that one on my Amiga.
Double Dragon 3, except for on the NES. On the NES, it's very good. And Double Dragon 3 on the Game Boy is basically Double Dragon 2, I want to say, so that's fine as well. But the arcade version, awful. Double Dragon 1, pretty good. Double Dragon 2, the mobile version, if you play the mobile difficulty version in Double Dragon Trilogy on iOS, it's a really good brawler. They rip most of the difficulty out so that you can actually complete the thing, which is what you want from one of these side-scrolling brawlers. You want a little bit of challenge, you want to get all the way to the end and then be like, I could have got there. And that's exactly what happened with me. I found it was just the right level of difficulty. Now, obviously, if you don't know what Double Dragon is, say, for example, you were born after the year 1990, it's a side-scrolling 2D brawler in the vein of Streets of Rage, Final Fight, and Scott Pilgrim Saves the World on Xbox 360. Castle Crashers. It's like that. But it's about two really cool dudes going around trying to save Marion. And she is a lady who, it turns out, she got murdered. So you can't really save her.
Spoilers!
I know. And then, or did she? Question mark.
I don't know!
Well, right. So basically that happens. And then there's some really good additions to that, to Double Dragon 2 over Double Dragon 1. There's lots of weapons that you can use, environmental kills that you can have, and the move set in the game is really, really varied. And you feel like each punch and each knee and each throw really does make a lot of impact. I did play the arcade version on the mobile as well, and I feel like that's way too tough. That version is just really, really tough, and it was meant to chomp coins, but the mobile version of it, I feel, is really solid, and that visual style of it and the music is absolutely brilliant. I remember how fantastic it all was. So I was really pleasantly surprised by the first two games of Double Dragon Trilogy on iOS. So I take back all of the terrible things that I said about the first two games. Double Dragon 3, though, can still absolutely suck my balls.
Fair enough. £1.99, $2.99 is the actual normal App Store price for it. It's also available on Google Play 2 if you want to get it, and maybe only play the second one. No one else to go to, Harry. You better have something.
I guess I'll just talk about the game that won the big indie pitch.
Yeah, do that.
Seems that synergy and brand awareness and other awful things that people kept saying to me. It was quite good.
What's it called?
I can't remember. Polybeats. It's called Polybeats. It was created by the Polybeats team. That did win, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Okay. I was stood next to the bar when they were announcing it, and then a man knocked my beer over and I had to leave. It's like a rhythm action tower defense game, which is cool. And they gave us headphones when they were pitching it at the big indie pitch, which meant we couldn't hear when the buzzer went off, which was a very clever strategy.
It's a good trick, isn't it?
So basically, you've got a circle in the middle, which is, I think they called it a metronome. And there are up to 4 or 5 different shapes in there that flash up to the beat of the music that you're listening to. So like circle, triangle, square, another shape. I don't know what the other shapes were. And from around said shape, from the edge of the screen, other shapes come in. So you get bad triangles and bad circles and bad squares and bad other shapes that I can't remember what they were. And the only way to get rid of these is by tapping on the screen and creating expanding versions of good shapes that will kill them. So you can kill squares with expanding squares and triangles with expanding triangles. But you can only make one of these expanding squares when it's square beat. So if you tap at the wrong time, you'll make a circle, and if a square hits a circle, then the circle dies, and then the thing will get your metronome, which is bad. You don't want to die. And it's got that rhythm actiony, speedy uppiness to it as well. So sort of as you get further into the game, it's got that like arcade. Oh, you've got this far, so like let's make it more difficult for you because we hate you, and then it gets more difficult. And it's really entertaining. The music was really good as well, I thought, but I don't really know much about music, so it might not be good.
It's like if they turned Missile Command kind of into because it's like tap on the screen and everything around it goes wow. That circle just emanates outwards and wipes out things. But like you say, you have to do it at the right time to make the right shape to do it.
Cool. You can if there's multiple squares coming in from one side and you put the square in the right place as it expands, it'll get them all, and then you'll get combo points. And it's a really interesting concept. And I think one of the things about the very big indie pictures is it's always nice to see things that are a bit new. Because quite often people turn up with games and you go, and as James and Peter will know, we've all played quite a lot of mobile games, and watching someone tell us that they've revolutionised platforming when actually they've just made the same game as 10,000 other people can be a little disheartening from time to time, especially 3 hours into the big indie pitch when nobody's brought you a glass of water and your voice sounds like this. Tell me about your strategies.
Which is off-putting.
Which is off-putting, to say the least. So yeah, Polybeats. It's I think it's later this year or next year. It might actually already be out on Windows Phone. But so if the guy who has got a Windows Phone is here, maybe give it a look. But it's I think it was of the top 5. I think was Shadowbug in the top 5?
It was, yes.
I have a terrible memory. It was Shadowbug, Dead Effect 2, this,
the
Tile Tales,
that's the one.
and
something else. There's probably an article about it somewhere.
There's several articles about it. I wrote them all because I was writing stuff. I honestly can't remember.
But out of all of
them, I think this and Shadowbug were definitely my favourites out of those 5. I mean, Dead Effect 2 was nice. It's just a
zombie first-person shooter.
And
in
space, nobody can hear you copy other people's games. And Tile Tales was maths, which was quite nice, and it looks gorgeous. And the other game was also good.
It was the tapping game. It was the
yes. Of course it was Make More.
A tapper, a clicker, only you're playing this kind of tyrannical guy who's running essentially a sweatshop. And it's quite humorous and quite funny. In order to add people to the shop, you're bringing people in out the rain.
Yeah, by the people who made RGB Express.
And that's quite fun.
It's quite fun as well, yeah. Sorry that we forgot about your game.
Yes, your game was good.
Your game was good, and it unfortunately Finnish beer is quite strong.
Yes, and that's what happens. So Polybeats, keep your eyes out for it. Again, you can see the articles all about the stuff we saw at the beginning pitch, and the videos as well will be going up. They're already going up today. It's already happening. Can't get away from it. And there'll be more besides. So for literally all the newest things in mobile gaming that literally nobody else has, stay with us. We got it all. Which brings us to the end of this podcast. A little bit of a longer one this week, but hey, come on. New iPhones don't come out every day. Thank you all for watching on the stream and for listening via the podcast. Do give us a little bit of an upvote if you feel like it. 5 stars is quite nice. We have to keep saying it, but it genuinely is great. And if you write something awesome as a little 5-star review, then we will totes read it out in an earnest and frank voice.
And especially if you mention mine or Peter's hair.
Yes.
And if you do that, we can't check all of the iTunes things like manually, so email us podcast@pocketgamer.co.uk and then we'll read it out. Now it will say, I'll read out the bit that says, Peter, your hair is well better than Harry's.
No, because
I'll make up a bit.
No, I mean, Harry, your hair makes you look like you are an ice cream.
And therefore...
No, that's it. That's all I need to say.
No. And therefore, James is going to lick it.
Go on then.
All right, here we go. I'm just going to... Thank you there.
That was...
Got a bit on my tongue.
Thank
you for listening to the podcast, everyone. I licked Harry's hair and it tasted of wax and hope. I'm going to see you all next week. Thank you for watching and listening. Take it easy, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.